sister has been missing for almost 5 days now. She's got a 13-year-old daughter, and we are worried sick.
There was more to this than just a missing persons case.
There's no way. She is not leaving her daughter.
That was very concerning to me.
We're certain that some type of foul play has been involved.
CCTV played a massive role in this case. We knew that they were lying because of the CCTV.
All I want to do is find her, and I want to give you a chance to dig yourself out of the hole.
37-year-old Marilee Cox Lafferty prepares for a 900-mile road trip from her home in California to Utah.
I met Marilee when we were teenagers. We went to a counseling group together. She was a misfit, and she was funny, and she was hardworking.
Marilee hopes to rekindle a romance with an old flame.
I knew the person that she was seeing was Rob Willis. She had known him since she was very young, about 16.
Honey, are you ready?
Marilee's 13-year-old daughter, Shayna, is coming with her.
They sure were always together. Very rarely were they separated. She was a really good mom.
Marilee wants to build a better future for herself after a lifetime of challenges.
Over the years, Marilee struggled with a bunch of battles. She was very open about them as well. She struggled with anxiety and depression and addiction.
She was a severe alcoholic. They said that she would have died if she wouldn't have quit drinking.
From that point on, after she went through recovery, I was so proud of Marilee when she had done the work that she needed to do to get sober.
That's a good girl. Come on.
Her service dog, Coco, will be traveling by her side.
She was epileptic. She would black out and have full-on grand mal seizures. They had her on a lot of different medications.
So she got Coco, a dog that could help if something happened to her. Marilee was just trying to figure out how she could both live with this condition and also be the sole provider for her daughter. That was her #1 priority.
This is Christy. Hi, ma'am. My name's Shawnee Weissman, and my sister has been missing for almost 5 days now. The last she was in the Logan, Utah area, and she's got a 13-year-old daughter, and we are worried sick.
The person that reported Marilee missing was her friend, who she referred to as kind of her sister. Her name is Shawnee.
Does she live here, or? No, she lives in California. She was visiting friends there in Logan, Utah. I don't know the address. And you don't know what she was doing here? She was helping a friend move. Her friend brought her daughter to me in Idaho.
Shawnee reported that Marilee had a daughter that had been taken to Shawnee by Rob Willis. Shawnee was worried about Marilee because she had a past with alcohol and drugs, and she was worried that Marilee had relapsed.
We've got missing persons. When this was passed to Logan PD, this was given to me to be the lead investigator into the missing persons case for Marilee Cox Lafferty.
We have somebody that's possibly under the influence and driving a vehicle on the roadways. We entered Marilee into a nationwide database for missing persons. Same thing for her vehicle, a gold Toyota Camry with California license plates.
We're going to need to get statements from the family.
Detectives speak with Marilee's brother, Daryl, to get more information.
I had spoken with Shawnee. She said that Rob and Marilee had an argument. She had taken a handful of Klonopin and moonshine and left in her car, left her daughter and everything.
She would never run off like this.
I immediately felt like there was more to this than just a missing persons case. We had heard that Marilee had taken some drugs and alcohol and just disappeared.
Marilee had reportedly been sober for 9 years.
After rehab, she never touched anything ever again. There's no way. She's not grabbing a bottle and she's not leaving her daughter. She was very protective of her.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
The thing that really stuck out to me initially was that her daughter was left behind. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. That was very concerning to me.
Investigators focused next on the man Marilee drove to Utah to visit, Rob Willis.
Marilee had come from California with her daughter to visit Rob Willis here in Hiram, which is a town just south of Logan.
Detective Woods, you Rob Willis?
That's me.
Rob told us that Marilee had come to help him move stuff into his new house. He said that she had been there on August 17th and August 18th. She had her daughter with her and her dog. At some point, they got into an argument about their relationship.
Rob said that Marilee wanted to be intimate with him and he declined. He and Marilee had been arguing all night and the argument continued in the morning. They went to Shane's house where they dropped off Marilee's daughter.
Who's Shane?
Rob tells detectives that Shane Miles is his friend and co-worker.
The argument that happened between he and Marilee was outside Shane's apartment in the parking lot. Marilee had reportedly threatened to drink a bunch of alcohol and take her medication in order to end her life.
He said Marilee was very angry. She was yelling at him.
Rob and Shane had to go to work and they were going to be late, so they left.
Whose car did you leave in?
Mine. It's right there.
And they both left for work in Rob's vehicle, which is a green Isuzu Trooper.
Rob says he believed that Marilee, her daughter and Coco, would be gone by the time he and Shane returned from work.
After he left Marilee, he clocked into work at 3:42 p.m. and he was at work until he got off later that night around midnight.
Rob states that he kept getting text messages from her that were of a harassing nature because she was so angry with him.
When they went back to Shane's house, Marilee's vehicle was gone, but that Marilee's daughter was there at Shane's apartment.
And they were both very surprised that Marilee's daughter was still there.
The day after Marilee's disappearance on August 19th, Rob took Marilee's daughter up to Idaho to be with Shawnee.
Look at this.
And we noticed that the back window on Rob's vehicle on the driver's side had been broken. It had glass in the back of the vehicle still, but it was kind of like he had covered it with some plastic sheeting.
What happened to the car?
He said he had backed into a tree while camping.
It happened after she disappeared.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Investigators contact Rob's friend, Shane. He volunteers for an interview at the police department.
It's very important that we speak with Shane to see what he has to tell us, to compare that with what Rob is telling us.
All right, Shane, so obviously the reason we're talking to you today is trying to find out what happened to her, okay?
I agree.
Tell me what you know about her.
So I met her on Friday. She came with Rob.
Shane had not met Marilee until she had come to Utah to visit with Rob.
Second time when she come, she stayed out in the car, but then she got out and she come to my door and just hollering, just weird crap like, you know, F you this, F you that.
And when was this?
This was Saturday. The last time when she come to my house, she was outside yelling.
Shane told me that he had told Rob that she can't be acting like that because he'll get in trouble with his landlord and the neighbors. They both stated that the last time they saw her was in the parking lot outside Shane's house, and that they went to work in Rob's green Isuzu Trooper.
Did you go together?
Yeah, we ride together.
Did you see Marilee leave?
No, I was in the house.
His story matched Rob's.
Investigators contact hospitals and local law enforcement to check if Marilee is receiving treatment or in custody.
We found that Marilee had not been to any hospitals in the area, and based on what we could see, she had not been arrested anywhere in the country. So we generated a missing persons flyer that we posted on our Logan City Police Department social media.
Detective Woods.
I received a phone call from one of our lieutenants.
Somebody had located a dog that was wandering around Logan City.
And they started getting messages from Marilee's family members that this dog that we had collected on the 18th of August was Marilee's dog, Coco.
That was concerning because her family reported Marilee would never leave her dog, that dog was always by her side.
Where exactly did you say you found the dog?
That this dog that we had collected was found at TTM Technologies.
TTM Technologies is a company that manufactures electronic components.
There's no real connection to Marilee.
We went to TTM and we asked for surveillance video.
We knew the dog was on film at about 4:42 p.m. What we're hoping to find on this camera is how the dog got to TTM.
Hold it. That's Coco.
We first saw the dog on the camera at 4:42 p.m. on August 18th. The dog is just running around the parking lot like it was by itself. We know Marilee shouldn't have been far away from there, but it didn't seem like Marilee was close by based on the way the dog was acting. A little bit later, the person that had found the dog, we see them pull up in a vehicle, and then we see that person pick up the dog and leave.
Investigators review the footage from TTM's other surveillance cameras to trace Coco's movements before she is found.
At 4:24 p.m., we see the dog sniffing around one of the exterior doors close up to the building.
Do it again.
We still haven't seen anything on camera besides the dog, and so we keep working backwards to see, is there any more surveillance footage that might show something? We see somebody enter the frame wearing a dark shirt, walk towards the door, and someone follows right behind him wearing a white shirt. And as they open the door and enter the building, they both kind of look back.
You can see that it is both Shane and Rob that are on video.
And then just seconds later is when we see the dog follow right behind them. TTM is where Shane Miles and Rob Willis worked. So it was not suspicious that we saw Rob and Shane on the camera footage there at work.
But what was unusual is that Marilee's dog was also on video in proximity to them. That information was crucial. How was the dog located at the workplace for Rob and Shane when Rob had told us that the dog had gone with Marilee?
We start to think maybe Rob and Shane know more information than what they're telling us, and we need to keep looking into that.
Both Rob and Shane told investigators they arrived at work shortly after 3:40 p.m., 1 hour before Coco is found at TTM.
They didn't leave work at all for the duration of their shift until sometime around midnight.
The investigators review the TTM parking lot footage from 3:40 p.m. to pinpoint Rob and Shane's arrival.
That's them.
At 3:46, we see Shane and Rob walking through the parking lot towards the building.
Roll backwards.
We then want to see them enter the parking lot to see what vehicle they're in.
So Rob and Shane had told us that they had come to work in Rob's green Isuzu Trooper, but we didn't see his vehicle. Jump back. At 3:46 p.m., we see a black Ford Mustang.
Can't be sure it's them. Is there a camera on the back lot?
You can follow it on video through the parking lot all the way to the point to where they park.
Play on. Freeze there.
We could see Shane and Rob exit the Mustang.
When we saw that they had arrived in Shane's Mustang and not in Rob's Trooper, we weren't quite sure what to think of that. And so we needed to investigate that further. They both told us they were at work and didn't leave. So we want to watch and see if that's another thing that they're misleading us on.
Fast forward.
We carried on watching it because we knew the dog had arrived at that building.
At 4:06 p.m., we see them leave the parking lot driving Shane's vehicle.
This directly contradicts what they both told us, that they never left work that day.
And so we start to wonder, where are they going?
Approximately 20 minutes after they left work that afternoon, they arrived back in Shane's black Ford Mustang. They park in a different spot this time, and that spot is not actually on camera. So we're not able to see them exit the vehicle at that time. However, within seconds after parking, we do pick them up on surveillance again, walking on TTM property. But this time, the dog is within feet of them.
It is very, very suspicious that they have the dog, but Marilee's nowhere to be seen. We have two people that know something that they're not telling us.
We knew they were lying, and we knew that we had to build a case.
On September 1st, we got some information back from Marilee's cell phone provider showing her most recent cell phone locations.
What have we got? Can you pull that up on a map?
One of the ping locations that we got on Marilee's cell phone was at 1:31 p.m. on August 18th, the day that she went missing. And it showed in the area of Blacksmith Fork Canyon, which is near Rob's residence.
What about the later ping?
One of the other cell phone ping locations we had on Marilee's cell phone was at 2:16 p.m. in the area of 1700 South, the US 8991 highway intersection, which is in Logan, near Shane's apartment. The second cell phone ping was suspicious to us because it was in the city where there is good cell phone service. It's possible that her phone could have died, but Rob also told us that she had been sending him text messages later in the day. And so the fact that 2:16 p.m. is her final cell phone ping is again another inconsistency with what Rob is telling us. It made us believe that something was seriously wrong with her.
The feeling I had was something sinister had happened. I believe Marilee was no longer alive.
Our biggest lead at this time would be Rob and Shane. Up until that point, they've shown that they're not willing to tell us the truth. They're willing to mislead us on certain things. So we start to conduct surveillance on Shane and Rob.
Investigators secure permission to attach a covert GPS tracker to Rob's vehicle.
What we were hoping to obtain by placing the tracker on Rob's vehicle were his movements. Where was he going? Did he have somewhere that might lead us to Marilee? And that's what we really wanted to know. On the evening of September 8th, I was contacted by our on-duty patrol supervisor. He informed me that Marilee's vehicle had been found in Boise, Idaho, near the airport.
We did confirm that her vehicle was located at an extended stay hotel in Boise, Idaho, which from Logan, Utah is about a 5 or a 6 hour drive.
When I got that call, it was actually exhilarating because I knew that we had our vehicle. We had this huge piece of evidence we'd been looking for. Unfortunately, they did not have surveillance of their parking lot. So we don't know how the vehicle got there or who parked it there.
Some of Marilee's family did live in Idaho, not too far from that area. And so we thought maybe she had driven up that way because she had family or friends up there that she wanted to visit. So we talked with Marilee's brother up in Idaho.
When I heard that the vehicle was found, a tinge of hope kind of goes through you, like, okay, maybe she was coming back.
Is there any sign of her yet?
But it didn't add up that she would go back to Boise, she would leave her daughter and her dog even, and then also not try to get in contact with her family.
No, I haven't heard from her at all.
When she'd come to visit in town, she would visit everybody while she was here.
No one had seen her. No one had talked to her.
Investigators received data from the tracker they attached to Rob's vehicle.
On September 7th, we saw that Rob took a trip in his vehicle up into the mountains. That was of interest to us because one of the last cell phone pings from Marilee's cell phone was near the base of one of the canyons.
Marilee's been missing for over 3 weeks. We know there's been no movement on any of her records. The GPS information gave us that he was in the canyon for approximately 3 hours. It can tell us exactly everywhere he stopped.
One of the locations where Rob has stopped at the longest, I think he was in that area for about 23 minutes. So following Rob's trip into the mountains, we took our own trip up there. We found broken glass that looked like it might have been from a vehicle window. Rob told us he'd gone on a camping trip after Marilee's disappearance into the mountains, and that it was on that camping trip that his vehicle window got broken. Maybe it did happen after Marilee disappeared, but maybe it also had something to do with her disappearance, and maybe this is where she was last seen.
We went and thoroughly searched to see if we could find any sign of Marilee or any kind of evidence that would lead us to where she might be. Unfortunately, though, we found no evidence of Marilee. We know that her phone pinged outside Blacksmith Fork Canyon, and then shortly after, it pinged at 1700 South, a known route that Rob used, and that it never had activity again.
One of the businesses along that route was a gas station that had surveillance cameras.
Detectives secure CCTV footage from the gas station for August 18th. They review it at the police department.
The camera angle that we obtained from Maverick mainly shows their parking lot and their gas pumps. But in the very top of the camera angle, you can see the Highway 165. And so we're really only focused on that top part of the camera angle.
It takes a lot of manpower to go through hours of video for what you end up finding is just small sections, maybe seconds or possibly minutes of video you actually need.
At 10:50, we see Rob's Isuzu Trooper travel south.
The driver was wearing a white t-shirt, which is what Rob was wearing as he entered TTM to go to work later on that day.
He's traveling towards Hiram. He lives in Hiram, so it's possible he's going towards his house. At 2:13 p.m., when it goes back the other way, the window looks completely different. You know, there's no reflection at all. We're able to see that the window on his vehicle is now smashed. Rob was lying to us. His vehicle window was damaged and broken the day of Marilee's disappearance.
What happened to Rob's vehicle? Why did this window become broken in this time frame? How did it get broken? We know that just shortly after this, within minutes, Marilee's phone no longer has activity.
We keep watching the surveillance footage to see what else we might find.
Show that again.
And at about 2:55 p.m., we see Rob's vehicle again pass the Maverick.
Punch in.
He's traveling south towards his home in Hiram.
We know that he was at work about an hour after that. We know that Rob most likely will pass through again on his way back to Logan, where he goes to work later. At 3:09 p.m., we see Rob's vehicle again travel north past the Maverick.
Go closer.
This time, though, there's something different. We can see that the driver is not wearing a white shirt. The driver is wearing a darker colored shirt.
Stop.
Just a few seconds later, we see a vehicle that looks like a gold Toyota Camry. It looks like Marilee's vehicle, and it passes north, almost directly behind Rob's vehicle. Rob told us that he last saw Marilee and the vehicle in Logan at Shane's apartment.
Punch in.
The thing about that gold Camry that we saw was the driver was wearing a white shirt. So we were very suspicious that Rob was driving Marilee's vehicle at that time. The driver of Rob's vehicle was wearing a dark shirt We were almost certain that it was Shane driving the vehicle because we had Shane on surveillance later that day wearing a dark shirt.
So where is Marilee?
We didn't see anything that would indicate there was a passenger in either vehicle. However, we couldn't be certain just because of the quality of the video.
Marilee has been missing for 3 weeks. Her friends and family struggle to come to terms with her disappearance.
It was a constant battle where you knew something was very wrong, very bad, but you still want to try to convince yourself that this still could be okay. I was cautious of Rob from the very beginning. She had told me about how he was abusive, both verbal and attempts at physical abuse.
Rob didn't sound right, and she could do 100% better. And then when she came up missing, that was just my gut went straight to that guy did something to her.
At this point in the investigation, we're almost certain that some type of foul play has been involved, that she's no longer alive. We had evidence against Rob, but we also had evidence against Shane, who is most likely to tell us the truth.
Investigators invite Shane to the police department for a second time.
We determined that Shane, if we confronted him with the evidence, that he most likely would help us with the investigation.
So did you guys take Rob's car to work that day?
Rob's vehicle.
Did you ever leave work at all?
No.
Shane again stuck to his story that they left in Rob's green Isuzu Trooper, which we knew was a false statement. He said that they had arrived at work and they had never left, which we knew was a false statement. Shane said that he had never known about Marilee's dog or that she even had a dog, which clearly we knew was a false statement.
I see Shane who's covering for Rob. Because all this stuff you told me today, I can prove that you lied to me.
What do you mean I've lied to you, honestly?
Shane, I know that day that you left TTN. I know that day you were in your vehicle. And I know that you had the dog with you. And that's all on camera.
I began to show still photos from surveillance video to Shane to confront him about his lies.
Whose vehicle was that?
It's my vehicle.
That's the day she went missing.
Okay.
You're in your vehicle. See those times? Those are the times you left work 20 minutes after getting there. And when you returned, Shane?
That's because I go to Paco's Tacos all the time.
You just told me you never left that day. And when you return, her dog is seen on camera with you and Rob.
It was at this point in time that Shane started to crumble.
I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm just scared what to say because I'm scared he's gonna do something to me or my kids. I'm being honest with you.
We're gonna help you with that.
Shane was obviously scared. I think he was afraid of Rob Willis and what Rob had committed and entangled Shane in. Shane does admit that he helps Rob move Marilee's vehicle to the Paco's Tacos parking lot, just a few blocks west of TTM.
How did he get rid of her car? What did he tell you? And Shane, if you had a part in that, you need to be honest with me right now.
I'm not. I know he took it down somewhere. I don't know where.
I still needed to know how it got up to Boise. Shane denied moving it to Boise.
Who did he say went with him? Because you can't take two cars that far. I already have the car, Shane. Tell me who it is, Shane.
His name's Jordan.
Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
What's Jordan's last name?
I have no idea. I've only met him once.
Shane told us that Jordan had been a coworker with Rob and Shane previously, and that's how he knew him.
Search the database for anybody named Jordan that fits this description.
He did describe some very distinct and unique tattoos that Jordan had on his face.
He's got a rap sheet.
It fits the profile of somebody else that might have been involved in Marilee's disappearance.
It's important at this point in time that we speak to Jordan, because if Jordan took Marilee's vehicle to Boise, I need to know the circumstances behind that.
Police officers detain Jordan and bring him back to the police department for questioning.
You ever heard the name Marilee Cox Lafferty?
I have never heard that name before.
She's this missing lady that we've been looking for about a month. You recognize her at all?
No, not at all.
Never heard that name, though.
No, I don't even know how I would be even involved with her.
Okay. Well, she had this little gold Toyota, and that's why you're here.
I asked him about his involvement with Rob Willis.
You ever been up to Boise with him?
I did. I took a trip with him up to Boise.
When was that?
4 weeks ago.
How'd you get there?
I drove his girlfriend's car up there.
Okay. Because right now he's implicated you in the murder.
Implicated me?
By moving her car. And that's why I'm trying to figure out how deeply you're involved.
Rob told him it was a girlfriend's vehicle and he was just gonna go drop it off for him and that Rob would pick him up in Boise. We knew that Rob was the one responsible for Mary Lee's death, and he had used these other people to help cover up his crime. At that point in time, the only thing I could think about was that we needed to pick up Rob. We couldn't have him out in public any longer.
And all I want to do is find her, let her daughter bury her mother. And I want to give you a chance to dig yourself out of this hole.
So you want me to get from Rob anything I can get? Is that what you're asking?
I want you to tell me the truth about everything right now.
Tell you the truth about what?
About what you know.
I don't know anything.
What does Rob
doesn't tell me.
Detective Woods turns up the heat to get Shane to reveal what happened to Mary Lee.
Where is she, Shane?
She's here.
Where?
Up the canyon somewhere.
Were you there?
No.
Who was with him when he did it?
He's by himself. He was with her.
How'd he kill her?
I think he beat her to death.
Did he say it was what?
He just said things like this.
At this point, when Shane tells us this, that's our biggest piece of evidence that we're looking for. Shane led us to a location up Blacksmith Fork Canyon near a pretty remote camping site. I was very hopeful that this would be the end of the investigation.
Shane said that Rob had taken him up there to the specific point and said, she's down there. He believed that this was a scare tactic, that, look, if you tell anybody, this is what's gonna happen to you as well.
In the immediate area of the campsite, there was a tree, and underneath the tree, there was a lot of broken glass.
There was also glass embedded in a tree branch that was the same height, relatively, as Rob's vehicle.
Also in this area was a bracelet that had the scorpion charm on it, and I knew that Mary Lee was a Scorpio, and so I was pretty certain that was her bracelet.
I went downhill. I'm looking around, I'm trying to find anything, when I get the distinct odor of decomposition. I start moving towards what I see as an unnatural rock formation underneath a tree. We moved one rock and we could see a human foot underneath the rock pile. And we knew that we had found Mary Lee finally.
I don't think anyone's ever prepared to come across human remains like that. Mary Lee had been in the mountains, buried up there for about a month.
Mary Lee was able to be identified positively by her fingerprints.
Mary Lee's daughter was staying at my house. I just told her that they found her and that she was dead. And she screamed and she just curled in a ball and cried and cried and cried. It broke my heart so much.
I remember when I got the phone call that they had found her and confirming everything that I didn't want confirmed. That was one of the hardest days of my life, to have to come to reality that she was gone.
I wanted to hold her hand. I wanted to be a big sister, and I wanted to take it away. I would have traded her places in a heartbeat because she fought so hard to be the better person that she was being.
Rob Willis was placed under arrest in Hiram by a SWAT team on the afternoon of September 14th. I knew I had another large task in front of me in trying to get some sort of confession from Rob.
How much do you care about her?
That's what I was thinking about, starting a life with her.
Is that before you killed her?
What?
Is that before you killed her, Rob?
I didn't kill her.
You did. Rob, and we're gonna prove it.
I didn't think he would tell me much. When I tried to confront him, he still deflected.
We found her.
And?
And your DNA is gonna be on her, Rob. I know you killed her, Rob. You know,
I didn't kill her.
I think you just lost control.
When I finally told him that we had recovered Marilee and confronted him and told him that we knew he was responsible, Rob requested an attorney. And at that point, the interrogation ended.
Take me to jail. I'm done.
You can sit down a bit.
Investigators piece together the events they believe led to Marilee's murder.
Rob and Marilee are arguing about their relationship and then went for a drive and went up into the mountains.
We believe Rob entered the canyon area with Marilee and her dog in Rob's vehicle. At some point in time, there is a fight that occurs. Rob's window became broken.
We're still not certain exactly how Rob killed Marilee, but it was most likely due to some blunt force trauma. Rob had then moved a lot of rocks to cover up her body. Once Rob killed Marilee, he left the mountains.
He returns to Shane's house and he tells Shane what he did.
So he now has to cover up what happened. At that point, Rob realized Marilee's car is at his house.
We then know that him and Shane left Shane's house to go back out to Hiram.
They take Marilee's car, Shane driving Rob's vehicle and Rob driving Marilee's vehicle.
Rob dumps Marilee's car at Paco's Tacos with Marilee's dog, Coco, inside it. Rob and Shane then drive to work in Shane's Mustang.
20 or 30 minutes after arriving, they left TTM on the way to Paco's Tacos to get Marilee's dog from the vehicle.
And they arrived back at TTM a short time later now with Marilee's dog.
And then the next day, Rob took Marilee's daughter up to be with Shawnee. Rob threatened Jordan to get him to cooperate so that Jordan would drive Marilee's vehicle from Logan up to Boise, Idaho to dispose of it up there, most likely trying to throw us off the track, trying to make us think that Marilee had driven up there to see family. I think Rob did believe that he was going to get away with it because he had tried to dispose of all the evidence. We were not able to prove that Jordan intentionally obstructed the investigation by moving Marilee's vehicle. With Shane, we knew that he had intentionally misled us and obstructed the investigation, but we also had a reasonable belief that Rob had threatened his life and threatened him to participate with the obstruction.
Shane was a very key witness to this homicide investigation and directly responsible for our recovery of her body. Rob never would have told us that.
Jordan Larson and Shane Miles are charged with no crimes in relation to Marilee's death. Rob Willis pleads guilty to first-degree felony murder. He is sentenced to 15 years to life.
CCTV played a massive role in this case. As soon as we knew that the dog was located on that footage, we knew that they were lying because of the CCTV. And from there, we were able to build a case and build it with more CCTV. Bringing the dog back to TTM was a crucial misstep on his part.
Every day when I see something beautiful in nature, I think about her. I think about her, wanting to get her camera out and take a picture of it and to preserve that memory. I miss talking to her, and I'm so proud to be her brother.
Marilee was my forever friend. She came in and made me feel balanced and understood. I'll never be able to replace her in my life, ever. She's just one of a kind.
Next time on See No Evil.
911. There was just a shot fired. A man was just shot.
This was actually a planned out murder execution.
You want to tell us the truth?
Surveillance video does not lie.
Kansas City 911.
I need an ambulance.
Hold on, stay in the line. Stay in the line.
I was praying that they would save him.
This is a personal thing.
The guy shot him twice and then said, remember me, bitch.
We have two names. We have no idea who they are.
If they go inside, we know we will have them at that point.
Your adrenaline is going. It was very exciting.
Without the surveillance in this case, we'd have been left with just names.
He asked me where I left the gun.
It was the biggest nightmare I've ever had in my life.
Father of three, Rodney Thurber repairs computers for a living in the apartment he shares with his girlfriend, Nadia Cole.
This one, honey?
Perfect, yes.
I met Rodney in 2016 through an ad for a room. Just a very sweet and generous man. He loves spending time with his kids. I needed some help, and I needed a place to stay. We just hit it off.
You off that?
Yeah. Rodney liked working on computers. He was teaching me how to put them back together, how to take them apart, how to replace things that didn't work. He was a very smart man. He was constantly reading anything and everything. He had a very high IQ. We had fun together, especially learning the computer.
Yeah.
He made it fun. We connected very well.
Last room movie?
That day, we were just kind of lounged around all day. We were gonna watch a movie and just sit and talk. It was just gonna be the two of us. But we didn't get very far with it.
Kansas City 911.
I need an ambulance.
Hold on, stay in the line. Stay in the line.
Our dispatch received a 911 call about a shooting. The calling party was very hysterical, very emotional. There was yelling in the background.
Moments later, dispatch receives another call about the same incident.
Kansas City 911.
Someone got stuck. Someone came here and shot this guy.
The shooting that occurred in the second story of a converted house.
Do you know him, the person who was shot?
Yeah, Rodney, he's our neighbor. He just got shot in here. Can y'all come, please? He's losing consciousness.
Officers were dispatched to the scene where the shooting had occurred.
115 and 117 are almost implanted.
Officers arrived at Tracy Avenue, where the 911 call came from. There were witnesses that were downstairs waiting for police. Officers go up the stairs to the top apartment and locate a female and a victim. He is laying in a pool of blood and was not conscious when officers arrived. As medics arrive and police are still rendering aid, unfortunately, Rodney succumbs to his injuries and is pronounced deceased at the scene.
I was praying that they would save him. That there's no way he could die. That man is too stubborn to die. He's gonna live forever. He loved us.
A homicide investigation was initiated at that point.
Ma'am, can I get your name, please?
Our calling party, who was identified as Nadia Cole, she was very emotional.
Officers removed Nadia from the scene. She is clearly distraught after seeing Rodney die.
She's placed into a warm police vehicle where an officer sits with her, tries to console her as best they can. Officers got brief statements from the downstairs neighbors who had kind of described hearing Mr. Thurber yelling. He shot me, called police.
Can you describe his features? How old? How tall?
No, sir. I know he was a white male.
They gave us a description of a male running from the scene, but as far as specifics, it was very difficult. None of them were able to give us a very good description.
Homicide detectives arrive on scene at 6:50 p.m.
What do you got?
I was the first investigator there. Mr. Thurber had suffered at least 2 gunshot wounds, one to his right side, one to the left shoulder. There was some damage to the back door where you could tell that it had been kicked. We found a shoe print. That led me to believe that this is a personal thing. He knew what he was going there to do. He knew who he was looking for and what his intentions were.
I was the on-call prosecutor, so I arrived on scene and made contact with the detectives that night.
We ID'd the victim, got a witness to the shooting, and possible shoe prints of the suspect.
The evidence that we were looking for were shell casings, spent bullets, things like that. There was an actual spent bullet that had lodged itself in the door.
There were 4 shell casings that were recovered. They were a .380 caliber casing.
Any sign of the murder weapon?
We determined that the suspect probably took the firearm with him because it was not found on scene as we were processing Mr. Thurber's apartment. We located a cell phone in what we determined was his bedroom. It was taken back to police headquarters for processing and downloading of information. If you can get into it, it's gold because you know who they've been in contact with and what might have caused this to happen. We now had shell casings, a spent bullet, this shoe print, and now, we found Mr. Thurber's phone. So we have a lot of really good leads to go on. We start to look for possible surveillance cameras and the house directly north of where Mr. Thurber's residence was. There were surveillance cameras that were on the house. I was optimistically excited.
The investigators take the footage from the neighbor's camera to the police department for review.
You're just nervous and hopeful that the footage is actually captured on the camera.
Okay. Queue up 5 minutes before the 911.
I was excited because it captured the actual driveway that someone would have had gone down to get back to Rodney's apartment. We knew if it's a car, if it's a person, we're going to capture something.
Hold it. Show that again.
About 2 minutes prior to the 911 call, a figure walks down the driveway. This is so close in proximity to the shooting that this is probably our suspect.
Punch in. Pause it.
The quality of the footage was not great, but it was enough to give us a figure wearing a coat, walking down the driveway at 6:11 p.m.
Stay on.
This figure, it cuts through a gate and into the driveway to where Mr. Thurber's apartment is.
Keep going.
Approximately 6:14, which is about the time the 911 call comes in, the video captures what appears to be that same individual. They don't exit and go the way that they came. They turn and go the opposite direction towards Manuel Cleaver 2 Boulevard.
That's our perp, 100%.
Anything happen before the man arrives?
We went back approximately an hour and watched the video to see any comings and goings of anyone that was coming to or leaving the apartment. Approximately 5:39, we observe what appears to be a gray or silver BMW that pulls into the drive. Approximately 8 minutes after, we observe the same vehicle leaving, but going southbound towards Manuel Cleaver 2 Boulevard. The fact that the car turns and goes the same direction that our suspect leaves, it does kind of pique our interest. Does this car have something to do with this crime?
Rewind. Punch in on the plates.
Unfortunately, because of the lighting and the way that this camera is set up, we couldn't make out the front or the back license plates on it.
Investigators switch gears. They interview Nadia Cole to unlock any clues she has about who shot her boyfriend.
We have to be able to determine if they have information that's relevant to the shooting. We also have to eliminate them as a possible suspect.
Okay. So then just kind of walk me through what happened.
I'm here and knock at the door. We weren't expecting anybody, so Rodney came with me. I went to open the door, and Rodney says, "Don't open it." And no more than he said that, I already had it open, and the guy shot him twice, and then said, "Remember me, bitch." Rodney says, "Who are you? Tell us your name." And he said, "I'm Patrick, I'm Caitlin's boyfriend." And then shot him again.
So now we have two names. We have no idea who they are.
That was very odd. It's not very common that we were able to get an information like that from a shooter in real time.
Does that make sense to you? Some dude's gonna come up and murder your boyfriend, but he's gonna tell him his real name?
He's not real bright, apparently.
And describe him for me.
Long, shoulder-length brown hair. Kind of looked like he hadn't brushed it in days. Long brown beard. Big, heavy coat.
When she was asked, had she ever seen him before, she said, I had never seen him. I didn't know who he was. Not only do we have Patrick's name as our shooter, but we also have Caitlin. We asked Nadia, do you know Caitlin? And she says, I've seen her a few times.
Tell me all you can tell me about Caitlin.
She's white, blonde hair, blue-eyed, girl next door look.
Okay, what's Caitlin's last name?
I don't know.
She only knows her name is Caitlin. She doesn't know her last name. She doesn't know where she lives.
She believed that Rodney and Caitlin had, at one point, had some kind of a romantic relationship. And now Nadia is in a relationship with Rodney, and that raises the question for us, is there a jealousy aspect to do with this?
One of the weird things Nadia tells police is she says Caitlin had come over prior to the shooting and had left this little handgun and asked her to hold on to it.
So tell me how Caitlin came to have you hold this gun for them, or her.
She came over 2 or 3 days ago. She asked me if there was somewhere she could put it until she could come back and get it.
And why did she want you to keep it again?
She didn't really say.
When Nadia gave us the information about holding the gun for Caitlin, obviously it raised some questions. A reasonable person would be like, well, why am I holding this gun for you? She could never really answer us other than, well, because Rodney said it was okay.
You see Caitlin today?
Yeah, she came to pick up the gun.
So about 30 minutes before the shooting, Caitlin arrives at Rodney's apartment. Rodney gave her the gun, and she left.
Given the odd circumstances surrounding this gun, detectives ask Nadia if she's involved in the shooting.
There's a lot of stuff that is not getting told right now, okay? And I don't know why you're keeping some things from me. Did you shoot Rodney?
No.
Okay.
I would never shoot him.
Okay.
Did Nadia have something to do with setting this up? Because, well, if I can't have him, then nobody's gonna have him, type thing. For us to be able to eliminate her as a suspect, we asked her to download her phone, and she, without hesitating, said, absolutely, I will cooperate.
Detective Wells informs Rodney's family of their loved one's murder.
The hardest part of any homicide investigation or death investigation is making contact with the family. It was very emotional for them. Of course, they wanted more answers than I could give at that time.
While investigators wait for the report on Nadia's phone data, they hunt for sources of surveillance footage in the area around Rodney's apartment.
At the end of the block, right on Emmanuel Cleaver 2 Boulevard, they had just built a McDonald's, which we knew was going to have some kind of surveillance cameras.
Back at the police department, investigators review the camera footage from the day of Rodney's murder.
Knowing that our suspect had run south towards the McDonald's, we were hopeful that we could find footage that would show this individual on any of their cameras.
He came from Tracy Avenue. Do you have any cameras pointed that way?
We were focusing on the camera that is facing the Tracy Avenue, overlooking the McDonald's parking lot.
He was seen at the house around 6:14 p.m., so play from that.
We wanted to see, around the 911 call, if there was going to be an individual that was walking south on Tracy.
Punch in.
And around 6:14, we see an individual appear walking south on Tracy.
Hold it.
He's wearing the exact type of clothes that was described by Nadia as our shooter, coming from the exact direction of our crime scene.
It's the guy who was at Rodney's apartment.
Play on. Change cameras. Zoom in.
Can you enhance it?
We're unable to see the actual face of the suspect.
Switch angles. Where's he going? Any other cameras facing that way?
He ends up heading north and runs across the street and off camera, and we lose sight of him through the camera angles.
It's frustrating because I still can't say who he is.
Investigators continue to watch the footage in case the suspect returns.
Play on. Rewind that. Stop.
About 30 seconds after the suspect leaves camera view, when we see a silver sedan, similar size, make, and model of our suspect car from the previous footage.
Change cameras.
What are they waiting for?
3 minutes passed, and the car is just sitting in the parking lot.
Show me the other angles.
And then we see our suspect. He starts running across the street back towards the McDonald's.
Punch in.
His coat is now open, his hood is off his head, and we see his long brown hair. We see facial hair.
Follow him.
He actually runs up to this silver sedan. He gets in the passenger seat.
The BMW backs out and leaves the parking lot. You know, the suspect is similar to the description that Nadia had given during her statement. However, we still don't have a license plate for the BMW. We still don't know who Caitlin is. And all we have for him is his name is Patrick.
This is all after the murder, but the car was seen at the house 30 minutes before.
We wanted to rewind the McDonald's footage and look back towards that 5:48 time period where that sedan left the victim's house and drove south on Tracy.
Okay, jump back half an hour. Okay, stop there.
About a half hour prior to the murder is when we see the sedan drive through the McDonald's parking lot.
That's the same car.
It drives up and it gets in line with the drive-through.
We are very excited because we think we actually might see who's involved in this.
Show me the payment counter. Punch in.
We're able to see who the driver is. It's a blonde-haired female, matching the description that Nadia gave us of Caitlin.
Show me the other cameras.
We can see that there is an individual sitting in the passenger seat.
Unfortunately, we're unable to see his face.
Switch to the other camera. Punch in on the car tag.
We can determine that it is a temporary tag, which is issued when you buy a car, but it's not visible. We've gotten to a point where we've collected all the information that we can get from the surveillance video.
We were able to download Rodney's phone. And in that phone, we were able to locate text messages on the day of the homicide between Rodney and an individual who identifies herself as Kate.
Look at this.
This Kate individual is talking with Rodney about coming over and picking up a gun.
Was very specific about she needed to get this gun back from him, that her boyfriend was going to be mad if she didn't get it back.
Fits with what Nadia said.
All we have is Kate and a phone number. At the disposal of law enforcement are many systems, including databases.
We put the number in and it comes back to someone with the name of Caitlin Riffle. Once we had that, then we start using analysts to help us to find a Facebook account.
Got you.
The photographs are kind of similar in appearance to the female that we see at the McDonald's in the drive-through surveillance.
This was another huge break in the case. But the text messages weren't the only thing we recovered off Rodney's phone. There was a photograph of a gun, a .380.
We knew that we had .380 shell casings at the scene.
Can you get a serial number off that?
Some of it.
Zooming in on the serial number itself, we were able to read most of the serial number in this photograph that was on his phone. However, the first character was kind of distorted. That information was sent to detectives in our illegal firearms squad.
Hey, it's Detective Wells. I'm gonna send you a serial number I need a trace on.
Thanks. Wow. Look at this.
There were multiple photos of a silver BMW, and there were text messages connected to Caitlin asking him to try and sell this silver BMW. Not only did he have photographs of a .380 caliber handgun, the same type of caliber that was used to kill him, on his phone, but also photographs of the same type of car that his murderer and accomplice used.
Hold on.
Detective Wells notices there's a temporary tag on the back of the car, and this temporary tag has the VIN number.
I'll look up the partial.
He rushes through the police database to see if this VIN is associated with any police reports.
Got it.
It was determined that that car was stolen 5 days prior to the homicide.
It's been found.
We got lucky. The day after the homicide, this car was abandoned in a Walmart parking lot in Lee Summit, Missouri.
It's possible that the security cameras at the Walmart captured images of the suspect and Caitlin. Investigators make the 21-mile journey to Lee Summit to review the store's surveillance footage.
We're trying to get a better look at the suspect's face. They have surveillance video that covers their parking lots, which is where the car was dumped.
Stop. Zoom in.
A male subject gets out of the passenger seat.
Which is the next camera? He's heading towards the store.
The subject walks towards the doors of the Walmart.
If they go inside, we know we will get clear images of their face. We know we will have them at that point.
He's heading towards the store.
He's just strolling into Walmart like it's any other day.
Yeah, stop. We got him.
I was excited, but I knew that there were still additional steps that we had to take to prove that this is Patrick.
Follow him.
We track this individual we know as Patrick now through the Walmart.
Track him to the till.
He ends up making a purchase.
Can we pull up that transaction record?
He buys a tea, and we're able to track that purchase. Walmart gives us the point of sale receipt and tells us that he used a gift card to make that purchase.
Do you know where he got the card?
The gift card was purchased 21 hours earlier from a different Walmart in Independence, 9 miles north of Lee's Summit.
This transaction for this gift card occurred 2 hours after the homicide.
Thank you.
Detectives are able to recover the footage from the Walmart in Independence.
Okay, start with the camera over the parking lot. Okay, the transaction was for 8:50 p.m., so let's play about an hour before that.
Around 8:09, we're able to see this silver sedan BMW pull into the parking lot.
Play on.
A female gets out of the car.
Freeze it there. Punch in. Is that Caitlin?
This female takes 2 children inside. And then we see another person get out of the car and walk towards the front door.
Switch to inside.
As the doors open, we start watching the interior cameras.
It appears to be Caitlin with her 2 kids walking in the store.
And we see our suspect.
He returned something and they were not able to give him cash. They gave him a Walmart gift card.
Follow him outside.
Patrick walks back to the car. Caitlin follows minutes later.
This footage shows that Caitlin is with this individual after the homicide, just like she was prior to the homicide.
Investigators check in with Rodney's girlfriend, Nadia Cole, to see if she recognizes the woman from the surveillance footage. Nadia is staying in a hotel for her own safety.
I presented her with some photographs that we had taken from the surveillance video at the McDonald's and the drive-thru. And without hesitating, she said, yes, that is Caitlin. That's the Caitlin I know that Rodney was in contact with.
Police also show Nadia the images of the gun.
When the detectives showed me a picture of it, I recognized it, and it looked similar to the one she had handed me.
Thank you. This has been extremely helpful.
The detectives are closing in on the suspects, but Nadia is feeling the toll.
I didn't have anybody to talk to, so I was left on my own. I was mad, I was hurt, I was scared. It was the biggest nightmare I've ever had in my life.
Investigators know that Caitlin is Caitlin Riffle. They now need to identify Patrick.
One of the items that we found on Rodney's phone was the photo of the .380 handgun. We were able to trace the serial number on the gun. We were able to determine that it was legally purchased at a store in Lee Summit, Missouri by Stephanie Powell.
Can you look her up?
Look at this.
She has a son by the name of Patrick Powell.
Can you pull up his license?
Photo's old.
When we run his Missouri Department of Revenue driver's license photo, he has short hair. In the surveillance video, the suspect had long hair. So our first thought is, has he changed what he looks like, or is this a completely different person?
Investigators search for a link between Caitlin and Patrick Powell.
There is an application on a computer that shows when anyone pawns something.
Got a hit on Caitlin's phone.
It showed that she had sold a phone at a kiosk at another Walmart in Independence that takes a picture of your ID, and it showed the date, the time that the transaction was made. There was surveillance video of her selling the phone with a person that did resemble very much the photo that Patrick had for his driver's license. He had cut his hair and shaved his face.
We were able to retrieve that phone. It was the phone that she had been using to communicate with Rodney the night of the murder.
We've gotten to a point where we've collected all the information. It's time to talk to them in regard to their role in the homicide of Rodney Thurber. I authored a court order for Patrick Powell's cellular device, and our tactical support squad found a residence where they thought the phone was at. It was tracked to Buckner, Missouri, which is about 30 miles east of Kansas City. They advised us we have Patrick and Caitlin. They're in a vehicle, and we are about to try to stop the vehicle and take it into custody. Adrenaline is going. This is all going to come to a head. It was very exciting for us.
As the officers are following his car, It ends up parking at a Quick Trip. Two individuals get out of that car. A white female looking like Caitlin and a white male looking like Patrick. As they walk towards the door at the Quick Trip, officers move in, take them into custody.
Police informed Nadia of the arrests.
I was relieved. Everybody thought I'd shot him. Every relationship has problems, but I would never hurt him.
Investigators take Patrick Powell and Caitlin Riffle to the police department for questioning.
You been read your rights? So, why don't you walk us through what happened?
I got nothing to say.
He almost had a smirk on his face. He knew he wasn't going to talk to me.
Patrick refuses to cooperate, so detectives press Caitlin for answers.
I don't know anything about anyone being killed.
Caitlin gives a statement to police and initially denies any involvement or any knowledge of what occurred.
Can I show you a couple pictures?
Yeah.
Okay.
They confront her with screenshots that show her at the McDonald's, show her text messages that occurred, and her story evolves.
Okay, he asked me where I left the gun, and...
Who asked you where?
Patrick asked me where I left the gun, said he was going to go ask for it himself.
We finally got her to admit that they went and got the gun.
So when he comes running back to your car to get in, what did he say happened?
Nothing.
She was confronted with the fact that we had an eyewitness that says that she was in the apartment moments before the murder.
You see Caitlin today?
Yeah, I came to pick up the gun.
He said after she gave the gun to you, that it was a very short amount of time before there was a knock at the door.
I think I just wanted a lawyer for any more questions.
Caitlin asked for a lawyer, and we end the interrogation.
Patrick and Caitlin are charged with first-degree murder. Both plead not guilty. At the trials, prosecutors step through the events that led to Rodney Thurber's murder.
The day of the homicide, Caitlin and Rodney had been texting. They'd been texting about this gun. They were texting about her coming over and getting this gun. And we know the surveillance shows her car pulling that driveway. We know Nadia Cole says Caitlin came in that house, got that gun. We know that that silver car with Caitlin in the driver's seat and a male in the passenger seat went through that McDonald's drive-through.
Patrick walks to Rodney's home minutes later.
Patrick went over there on foot, by himself, armed with that handgun. He knew he was going to shoot Rodney.
The gun that we know Caitlin gave back to Patrick was a .380 handgun, the same caliber that matches the shell casings that were found at the scene. We know that individual ran away. He ultimately got into that silver car that Caitlin was waiting for him to drive him away. Just 2 hours after the homicide, we catch them on the Walmart surveillance in that same silver BMW. Patrick wearing the same clothes with the fur on the coat, the pink shirt, and the green pants inside that Walmart.
The shoe print found at the crime scene matched neither suspect, but the pictures of the gun and the car that Caitlin sent to Rodney incriminated both her and Patrick. Stephanie Powell, the gun's legal owner, had no involvement in or knowledge of any criminal activity.
When trying to establish a motive in this case, we weren't exactly sure why.
Maybe Patrick is jealous of Rodney because of the relationship that he and Caitlin had previously.
I think he was trying to keep them two apart. He was jealous over the relationship that Rodney and Caitlin had.
It's clear from all the evidence that Nadia Cole was just an innocent bystander. She was a crucial witness for us in this case. Patrick Powell was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for murder in the first degree and 10 years for armed criminal action. Caitlin Riffle was sentenced to 20 years for murder in the second degree and 3 years for armed criminal action. This murder wouldn't have occurred but for her actions. She was the getaway driver. She's the one that provided the murder weapon. But ultimately, she's not the one that pulled the trigger. Without the surveillance in this case, we'd have been left with just names. We would not have been able to put our suspects together in the moments after the homicide.
I never said goodbye to Rodney, and I'm not going to. But I still talk to him. He's still a part of me. He's still a part of my life. I'll miss Rodney's smile and the way he made people feel. He was a great man that loved helping others.
Next time on See No Evil.
My sister has been missing for almost 5 days now.
There was more to this than just a missing persons case.
We're certain that some type of foul play has been involved.
We knew that they were lying because of the CCTV.
In the quiet stretches of the American West, where the horizon is defined by the rugged peaks of Utah and the vast plains of Idaho, life often follows a predictable, peaceful rhythm. It is a landscape that suggests a sense of safety and community, where neighbors know each other and family ties run deep. However, in the autumn of 2022, this sense of security was fundamentally altered. For the residents of Tooele, Utah, the disappearance of Marilee Cox Lafferty, a 37-year-old mother, would initiate an investigative journey that would span hundreds of miles and utilize the silent, unblinking eyes of modern technology to piece together a puzzle that began with a missing person and ended with a complex search for justice. This is not merely a chronicle of an investigation. It is an exploration of the digital footprints we leave behind, the profound impact of a single life on a community, and the meticulous process of uncovering a hidden truth through logic, patience, and the unexpected testimony of the silent witness. To understand the weight of this case, one must first understand the woman at the center of it. Marilee Cox Lafferty was described by those who knew her as a devoted mother whose life revolved around her children. In her late 30s, she was a person of routine and responsibility. Her family and friends recall her as someone who was deeply integrated into her community, a woman who sought stability and took pride in her role as a caregiver. In small communities like Tooele, people notice when the rhythms of daily life are disrupted. Marilee was not the kind of person to simply walk away from her obligations or her family. When communication from her ceased, the silence was immediate and heavy. It was a silence that spoke volumes to those who knew her character. The investigation began in August 2022. It was a time of year when the heat of summer still lingered, but the first hints of the coming change were in the air. When Marilee's family realized they had not heard from her, the initial reaction was one of confusion, followed quickly by a rising tide of concern. In modern life, we are constantly connected through texts, calls, and social media. When that connection is severed without warning, it serves as a primary red flag. For law enforcement, the Tooele Police Department took the report seriously from the outset, recognizing that Marilee's profile did not match that of someone who would voluntarily disappear. The early days of a missing person case are often a whirlwind of frantic activity balanced against the slow, methodical work of data collection. Detectives began by mapping out Marilee's last known movements. This involves more than just asking where she was seen. It involves reconstructing her digital life. Who did she speak to? What were her plans? Was there anything in her recent history that suggested a desire to leave or a sense of apprehension. In Marilee's case, there were no obvious signs of a woman planning an exit. There were no packed bags, no significant financial withdrawals, and no farewell messages. She had simply vanished from the social and physical landscape of her life. The first major breakthrough, and perhaps the most perplexing development, occurred not in Utah, but 300 miles to the north. Marilee's vehicle, a dark-colored SUV, was discovered abandoned in a parking lot in Idaho. The distance alone was a cause for significant alarm. A 300-mile drive represents several hours of travel, taking someone far outside their usual geographic footprint. When Idaho authorities located the vehicle, the discovery raised more questions than it answered. The car was empty of its driver, but it contained a vital clue that would eventually give the investigation its title. And its most poignant emotional center, Marilee's dog. The presence of the dog in the abandoned vehicle was a critical piece of behavioral evidence. To those who knew Marilee, her dog was more than a pet. It was a companion. The idea that she would drive 300 miles and then abandon her animal in a car was entirely inconsistent with her personality. From a psychological perspective, this detail suggested that whoever had last driven that car did not share Marilee's values or her emotional connection to the animal. It suggested a lack of empathy or a state of extreme distress and haste. For investigators, the dog became a silent witness, while the animal could not speak. Its presence in that specific location at that specific time provided a fixed point in the timeline. It confirmed that the vehicle had been moved by someone who was either indifferent to the welfare of the pet or was operating under a different set of priorities than the vehicle's owner. With the recovery of the car, the investigation became a multi-jurisdictional effort. Detectives from Tooele coordinated with Idaho law enforcement to process the vehicle for forensic evidence. In modern forensics, a car is a treasure trove of information beyond the physical evidence, fingerprints, DNA, or trace fibers. There is the digital evidence. Many modern vehicles have onboard computers that track GPS locations, door openings, and engine cycles. Investigators began the painstaking process of downloading this data to see if the SUV could tell them exactly where it had been during those missing hours. However, the most transformative tool in this investigation was the prevalence of surveillance technology. This case serves as a profound example of how the eyes of our society, doorbell cameras, gas station security feeds, and municipal traffic cameras, can reconstruct a journey that was meant to stay hidden. This is the core of the documentary narrative, the idea that in the 21st century, it is nearly impossible to move through the world entirely unseen. Investigators began what is known as video canvassing. They started at the point where Marilee was last seen in Utah and moved outward like ripples in a pond. They requested footage from neighbors, local businesses, and highway cameras. This is a labor-intensive process that requires hundreds of man-hours. Detectives must sit in front of screens, watching hours of mundane activity, looking for a single frame that captures a specific license plate or a recognizable silhouette. In the case of Marilee Cox Lafferty, the video evidence began to tell a story of a journey that Marilee herself likely never intended to take. The cameras captured the SUV moving through various intersections. They tracked it as it headed toward the interstate, moving north toward the Idaho border. As the footage was analyzed, a chilling realization began to set in for the detectives. In some of the frames, they could see the driver. While the quality of surveillance footage can often be grainy, digital enhancement and comparative Analysis allow investigators to rule out certain individuals and focus on others. The person behind the wheel of Marilee's car did not appear to be Marilee. This shift in the investigation from a missing person case to a potential criminal matter changed the tone of the police work. The focus intensified on the people in Marilee's immediate circle. In the vast majority of cases where a person disappears under suspicious circumstances, the individual responsible is someone known to the victim. This is a statistical reality that law enforcement must address, regardless of how difficult it may be for the families involved. Detectives began re-interviewing friends, family members, and acquaintances, looking for inconsistencies in their stories or signs of behavioral changes. Among the individuals of interest was a man named James Smith. As investigators dug into the dynamics of Marilee's life, they began to look closely at her social interactions and any recent conflicts. In any deep dive analysis of such a case, one must look at the victimology, not to blame the victim, but to understand the risks they may have unknowingly faced. Were there individuals in her life who exhibited patterns of control, instability, or grievance? The psychological profile of a perpetrator in these scenarios often involves a sense of perceived slight or desire for control that has been thwarted. When investigators looked at the movements of individuals close to Marilee, they began to find overlaps with the timeline of her disappearance. Specifically, they looked for anyone whose phone records or personal vehicles could be placed in the same vicinity as Marilee's SUV. The digital trail was not limited to cameras. Cell phone tower pings provided a secondary layer of confirmation. When a cell phone moves, it handshakes with nearby towers to maintain a signal. By subpoenaing phone records, investigators could see a trail of pings that mirrored the path of the SUV seen on camera. When the phone of a person of interest moves in perfect synchronization with the victim's missing vehicle, the coincidence becomes statistically impossible to ignore. It creates a digital tether between the suspect and the crime. As the investigation into the movements of the SUV continued, detectives in Idaho were making their own discoveries. The location where the car was abandoned was not random. It was a place that required some level of familiarity or a specific reason to visit. Why drive 300 miles just to leave a car? From a criminal analysis perspective, this is often an attempt to create distance between the crime scene and the evidence. By moving the car to a different state, a perpetrator might hope to confuse jurisdictions or delay the discovery of the vehicle. However, in the age of interconnected police databases, this tactic often backfires, as it only serves to demonstrate the calculated nature of the perpetrator's actions. The dog found in the car remained a central point of the emotional and investigative narrative. The animal was taken into care, a small mercy in a growing tragedy. For the investigators, the dog's survival and its presence in the car were a testament to Marilee's life. The animal was a link back to her home, her family, and a life that had been so abruptly interrupted. It was the dog that knew, even if it couldn't speak, that something was terribly wrong. Back in Utah, the search for Marilee intensified. While the car had been found, Marilee herself remained missing. This is the most harrowing phase for a family, the period of ambiguous loss, where there is no closure and no certainty. The Tooele community rallied, organizing search parties and spreading awareness. The psychological impact on a small town when one of its own goes missing is profound. It creates a collective sense of vulnerability. People begin to lock their doors more carefully. They look at strangers with more suspicion. The social fabric is strained by the unknown. The breakthrough in the case finally came through a combination of traditional detective work and high-tech analysis. By synthesizing the surveillance footage from dozens of sources, investigators were able to identify a second vehicle that appeared to be traveling in tandem with Marilee's SUV at various points. During the journey to Idaho, this second vehicle was linked to James Smith. The presence of a follow car is a common element in cases where a vehicle is being disposed of. It suggests a level of planning. The perpetrator needs a way to return home after abandoning the victim's car. When investigators confronted the evidence of the two vehicles moving together across state lines, the narrative of a spontaneous disappearance collapsed. It was replaced by a narrative of a coordinated, deliberate act. As the legal net began to close, the focus shifted to finding Marilee. This is often the most somber part of the process. Investigators use the GPS data from the vehicles and the cell phone pings to identify stops along the route. They look for gaps in the timeline, periods where the vehicles were stationary for an unusual amount of time. One such gap led them to a remote area, far from the main highways. It was in this secluded location that the investigation reached its tragic conclusion. Marilee Cox Lafferty was found, and in the period of searching but beginning the long process of mourning and legal reckoning, the discovery of her body allowed forensic pathologists to determine the cause and manner of death, providing the final pieces of physical evidence needed for a criminal prosecution. While the details of such findings are often clinical and somber, they are essential for the court to understand the reality of what occurred. The arrest of the suspect followed shortly after. In the court of law, the evidence gathered by the Tooele detectives and their Idaho counterparts was presented as a cohesive story. The prosecution relied heavily on the surveillance footage, the see no evil aspect of the case. They showed the jury the SUV's journey, the follow car, and the digital footprints that placed the defendant at the key locations. They spoke of the dog left in the car, using it as a symbol of the perpetrator's disregard for the victim's life and values. The trial provided a space for the community and the family to hear the evidence, and for the legal system to weigh the actions of the accused. The defense in such cases often attempts to provide alternative explanations for the digital evidence or to question the identification of individuals on camera. However, when the evidence is as multifaceted as it was in this case, combining video, GPS, cell phone data, and physical forensics, the burden of proof is often met with overwhelming clarity. The psychological analysis of the case suggests a motive rooted in personal conflict and a catastrophic failure of conflict resolution. It is a reminder that the most significant threats often come from within one's own social circle. The perpetrator's actions following the crime, the long drive, the abandonment of the car, the attempt to return to a normal life, point to a person who believed they could outsmart the system through distance and deception. They failed to realize that in the modern world, the environment itself is a witness. Reflecting on the case of Marilee Cox Lafferty, we are forced to confront the duality of our modern existence. We live in an era where our privacy is increasingly diminished by the technology that surrounds us, yet it is that very technology that often provides the only path to justice when the unthinkable happens. The cameras that capture our mundane trips to the grocery store or our commutes to work are the same cameras that can vindicate the innocent or identify the guilty. The impact on Marilee's family is immeasurable. A mother was taken from her children, a daughter from her parents. The lessons learned from such a tragedy are often difficult to articulate. There is a lesson of vigilance, the lesson of the importance of community support, and the lesson of the tireless dedication of law enforcement officers who refuse to let a case go cold. The title, The Dog Knows, serves as a lasting reminder of the small, human details that define these cases. In the cold, analytical world of forensics and surveillance, the presence of a pet waiting in a car is a touchstone of humanity. It reminds us that every data point on a map represents a real life, a real family, and a real loss. As we look at the societal and cultural factors involved, we see the importance of resources for those in domestic or interpersonal conflict. We see the need for continued investment in the forensic technologies that allow police to solve multi-state mysteries. And most importantly, we see the resilience of a community that stands together in the face of tragedy. Marilee Cox Lafferty's story is one that ends in a courtroom with a verdict that seeks to balance the scales of justice. But the true conclusion of her story lies in the memories of those who loved her and the safety of the children she fought so hard to care for. Her life was not defined by its end, but by the love she gave and the community she was a part of. The investigation into her disappearance stands as a testament to the fact that no one truly vanishes without a trace, whether it is through a digital signal, a grainy frame of video, or the loyal presence of a family pet. The truth has a way of coming to light. In the final analysis, the case of Marilee Cox Lafferty is a somber narrative of the modern age. It shows us that while the geography of the American West remains vast and often isolating, we are more connected than ever. Justice in this case was not the result of a single eureka moment, but the result of thousands of small pieces of information being meticulously woven together. It was the result of detectives who looked at a dog in a car and knew something was wrong. It was the result of a community that refused to forget, and it was the result of a legal system that used the silent witnesses of the 21st century to speak for a woman who could no longer speak for herself. As the sun sets over the Utah mountains, the landscape remains as beautiful and as silent as ever. But for those who know the story of Marilee, that silence is now filled with the understanding of what it takes to find the truth. It is a reminder that even in the most remote corners of our world, we are watched over, we are connected, and we are never truly alone. The unblinking eyes of the cameras continue to watch, the digital towers continue to listen, and the silent witnesses of our lives stand ready to tell our stories, ensuring that justice, however long it takes, is eventually found. The legacy of this case is found in the improved techniques of multi-jurisdictional cooperation and the increased awareness of how surveillance can be leveraged in the critical early hours of a disappearance. It serves as a blueprint for future investigations, a somber reminder of the stakes involved, and a tribute to a woman whose life mattered to so many. The story of Marilee Cox Lafferty is a difficult one, but it is a necessary one to tell, a story of loss of technology and ultimately of a truth that could not stay hidden. In the years following the trial, the Tooele community has sought ways to honor Marilee's memory. There are discussions of safety initiatives and support systems for families in transition. These are the meaningful, reflective lessons that emerge in the darkness of such events. We learn that we must look out for one another, that we must listen to the small warnings, and that we must trust in the slow but steady arc of justice. The dog that waited in that car in Idaho is no longer a symbol of abandonment, but a symbol of the enduring bond between a woman and her home, a bond that even the most calculated actions could not fully sever. As we conclude this narrative analysis, we are left with a sense of profound responsibility that comes with our modern tools. Technology is neutral. It is the human intent behind it, and the human diligence in interpreting it, that determines its value. In the hands of dedicated investigators, it became a voice. For Marilee Cox Lafferty, it turned a 300-mile gap into a bridge to the truth, and in doing so, it provided the only thing that can truly begin the healing process for a grieving family. The knowledge that the truth is known, the responsible have been held to account, and the memory of their loved one is protected by the justice they received.